Welcome everybody to the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today we're going to be looking at comforting, encouraging and empowering messages from your inner child. So I think when we talk about inner child, we're talking both about healing and releasing energy and also about what you want to embrace, engage and build in your life. So we will be asking your inner child to give you messages on both those aspects of your life and also indeed where they may interact or intertwine as well. So this I don't probably need to do a great deal of introduction. That's fairly straightforward what we're going to be looking at. So I will put out the numbers for the piles. Of course, you can go to more than one if you like, but 3 piles to choose from today. And to help with the choice, part of the message from your inner child is here. There is another card from this deck and another deck that I'm using to give us an idea about the key overarching themes of the message that your inner child wants to bring to you, and also to allow you to get a pretty good idea right out from the gate in the reading whether you've come to the right pile in case you wanted to choose another. Because it's very important, I think, with inner child that you feel a strong resonance to the core messages before we get into the depth of the reading. So for pile number 1, part of the message is you are enough. For pile number 2, part of the message is to be decisive. And for pile number 3, part of the message has to do with the seasons of change, so things changing in life. So one of those messages or concepts or even the imagery may draw you to one more than another or to a couple, whatever works for you. When you do know what reading or readings you want to go to, as always, I have the timestamps in the description box below and I'll see you there. Welcome pile 1 to your reading. So we have you are enough. We also have a message about belonging coming from your inner child. And the connecting point of the message or the theme is from the Extended Tarot, the Secret Keeper. Now, for those not familiar with the Extended Tarot, it is the concept, it's a very small deck that has a number of children, effectively, or inner children, that are the progeny, I guess, of various major arcana cards. So the major arcana cards that are the parents, in a sense, of the Secret Keeper are the Hermit and the Magician, or the Hermit and the Alchemist as it is in the Painted Tarot. So that card is meant to give a bit of a sense about the energy of your inner child and how it is communicating with you and why it is communicating this overarching theme. The Secret Keeper here is saying that both those cards, whether you're talking, or both the parents in a sense, whether you're talking about the Magician, which is about, the alchemical process, the transformative process, all the skills that you might want to bring to something, magical power, occult abilities, all of those sort of things, connected with the Hermit, which is the very deep introspective spiritual path, creates the Secret Keeper. So therefore a child of those two would have many wise concepts, much insight spiritually, and also in a sense with the Magician to all the powers of the world. There is something that you carry with you and your inner child has carried with you, I would say, right from childhood. It's not just we're talking about the inner child now in a broader sense, but something right from childhood with family here. You belong in a tradition of some sort. I would say some of you may have come from very strong religious backgrounds, spiritual backgrounds, very strong cultural backgrounds, but there's something about the dynamic from those early days, probably from your family, but possibly also from other nurturing or developmental experiences. So that could be school, it could be extended families, it could be friendship circles. From that very early kinship, even in your culture potentially, kinship ties, there's a very strong sense of belonging, and you do belong to this tradition, but you know a lot, and possibly you know more than this tradition. And what your inner child is trying to say to you, you may in fact have been the sort of child who saw what wasn't congruent in a family or in school. You may carry that forward now even into looking into workplaces, political causes, social groups, whatever it might be. You carry a lot of knowledge, you carry a lot of secrets, and that in itself can be a stressful thing. So I think your inner child is trying to say, this is time to work out what are the secrets you should keep for the sake of belonging, and where must you also tell your truth because you are enough. So I feel that if you've come to the right reading, there is something here for you, pile 1, about understanding where your loyalties lie to a group or to a family or to a tradition, and where they lie to yourself and what you want to be and who you want to be and how you express yourself. There may even be, for some of you, you may have experienced or you may fear experiencing some form of exclusion from a group that is important to you if you tell your secrets or if you pursue something that is more that is your own. But your inner child wants to know you will ultimately belong where people can be open to the truth, and that you are enough to do it. So I do think that many of you, this could be, as I say, something about traditions in family. As I say, could also be that the inner child here and the secret keeper coming up is around, a political cause or a social cause or something going on in a work environment. Whatever it is, your inner child wants to say, you will find the right people and you are enough. So you can be responsible with your secrets and use them in a way that actually brings the wisdom and the grace out of them, rather than something that you feel could exclude you, or something that you feel would have too high a price, or something that would have you shunned as some form of pariah. You may feel, in fact, that you could be censored by a group in some way, and yet you are enough and your message is enough. So some of you may literally be truth tellers as well. So that energy could be along with the secret keeper. Or it could be that you feel that you are keeping the secrets of a group, a family, a workplace, so that you can belong, but you actually now are thinking about breaking out and doing something yourself. But whatever the energy is, your inner child wants to say that you have the wisdom and the spiritual contemplation abilities, and you are enough to be able to stand on your own when necessary and draw people to you. See how there's bird seed? You can draw people to you. You don't have to follow old traditions just to belong. So let's see what Tarot wants to say. So what we're going to do is we're firstly going to ask what your inner child wants you to release or let go of. Then we're going to ask what your inner child is now asking you to embrace or grow. And then we're going to ask your higher self what message it has for the inner child within you at the moment. So firstly, what does your inner child feel so that you can belong where you should belong, where your secrets are welcome and where you are considered enough? What do you need to release or heal from? It's the Four of Cups reversed. Sometimes I have to check them to make sure. These beautiful cards, but they're a little bit hard to work out what they are sometimes. Knight of Swords, Four of Wands, the Devil, Ace of Swords. Okay. I feel like your inner child is saying that there is a side of you that just wants to crash or crash with the Knight of Swords, to just break an emotional impasse. And you know that this is also going to break some bondage to family or group connections. And there's sort of like, because you think so differently. I think your inner child is here saying that you almost have to let go of the worry about that and just do it. But also, I think that your inner child is saying that you will find it is less tumultuous than you expect. It may be that for some of you, you have a monolith in your mind now about the people that you're with and their expectations or the family dynamics or whatever it is. But in actual fact, it's a little bit more open to new ideas than you're possibly thinking. Or if you do the new idea, you will find the people, you'll find the belonging that you want, which actually liberates you from feeling bound up. It could be one or the other, but this is about what to release. So I think there is almost a need to release expectations of the cost to happiness and being within groups and being accepted, and to have the new idea. What is the cost here? It's almost saying that you will find, and this is saying with belonging, you are going to find, and the Four of Wands is this as well, your own people. But you do need to let go of this sense that you're imprisoned, actually. I think this is probably more what it's saying. You're imprisoned by a particular hegemony of ideas, and a new idea can come through if you break that prison and you can find the people that you want. You have to do something unexpected, but you're worried about the emotional impact. So I think very much that your inner child is saying, as it said, you are enough. You will bring the right people. You have the right ideas. You have secrets, definitely. And Devil card definitely says there's something in a group dynamic around you that really does need to be brought up to the light in some way to the right audience. But you feel trapped by it. You need to let go of that trap. You need to feel that you're free of the concept that you can have one or the other, the new idea, the new way of thinking, or the happy connection. That you're just not actually having the happy connection if you don't break through this. But I think that your inner child is also saying to be a little bit considered about it. It's almost like this is coming up to boiling point with you and you just want to crash through or crash, as I say, with the Knight of Swords. I think your inner child is saying that with a little bit of steady, almost drip feed of the secrets and connecting out, that's how you're most likely to find this. And it's almost like you slip under the radar of those that would control you so that you can actually bring in the new energy. So I think you don't have to have a fight. I think this is what it's saying. You don't have to have a fight. It's more that you kind of send out the message, send out the connections or whatever to bring the people in. And as I say, it's almost like this is a sleeping giant in a fairy story. And if you are quiet around it, it's a bit like, it's making me think a bit of Jack and the Beanstalk. So being quiet around the giant and being able to get the beans, this is the sort of feeling around it. Whatever it is that you think has too many secrets and too much control, it's almost too big to even notice what's going on. So you could gradually do it. But if you crash through or crash and almost don't take on a victimhood thing, this is saying do not, say this was a cause, it was a political cause or something like this, and you've been oppressed in some way. The way of dealing with this is not to kind of crash through or crash with a kind of victimhood thing, because it draws this thing's attention. It's more that you look for those that you have the connection with, a positive connection, and who like the new ideas. This thing doesn't then know. So it's a more, let go of the push through energy and take on more of the attracting energy, much as this you are enough, the birdseed, draw in your people rather than pushing away those that you don't feel you belong with. I think that's what your inner child is saying to you about doing this dynamic. So if you do that, what does your inner child want you to embrace and empower within yourself? Death reversed, Five of Cups reversed, Ace of Cups, Nine of Pentacles reversed, Six of Swords reversed. Okay, all right, so your inner child is saying a second thing here. The inner child is saying, again, you are going to have other people around you. This is not about you being alone. So even again, this figure here is enough, but has drawn in the birds. Like, you are going to bring in people. So embrace the new people that are coming in. There's something materialistic about this. There's something materialistic or very rigid about whatever you're trying to kind of break free from, or whatever you have the secrets about. The people that you're drawing in are not as materialistic. They're more community oriented, they're more spiritually oriented, something like that. It's not as material a thing. So those sort of people, rather than the people who almost control through either, as I say, sort of lineage and culture, or they control through money and power, you're drawing in a different group of people. And that you're meant to sort of embrace the new emotional energy that comes with that. There's a lot of healing to come with that. It's like the idea draws in the people that are a very healing energy. So those that feel less materialistic, those that feel more healing, those who feel more inclusive, they're the people to connect with. That's who you should embrace. It may be others, I think, with the Five of Cups here reversed, who've gone through a similar thing. Like, this feels a bit like sort of somebody breaking out of an extremely strict religious thing. And this is just an example. And in doing it, finding people who have a different approach and are more sort of heart-centered to what aligns with you and your mystical path. But you find others. It's almost like you find others who are almost orphans of a culture or a political cause or a spiritual cause. Those are the people. It's like you gather them to you. You gather the people who, like you, can understand what it is to take the steps to freedom and to embrace that you're enough. And your inner child is also saying, embrace the concept that this is a journey. It's not like you suddenly go from one fixed destination to another. Like, this is not for you to go from one group and you're stuck in its hegemony to another group where it's also got really defined rules. With Death reversed here, which is being able to delay the choice, and Six of Swords reversed here, which is not having a really fixed idea about where you're going. This is about finding a feeling and a general sort of spiritual connection with others, not necessarily a new set of rules. So this does feel like something like that. If it's not literally sort of spiritual or cultural, then it may be getting away from a relationship that was incredibly controlling and has lots of secrets and so forth, to bring in a new love. but you don't need to know exactly where this is going. You don't need to crystallize it into something else. You are enough, regardless of whether any of these people stayed in your life or not. And knowing that allows you then to truly explore without expectations and therefore get the most out of the heart energy coming in. So let's see what your higher self's message back. So if your inner child is saying, reach out a little bit subtly, a little bit quietly, but nevertheless reach out to those who can hear what you have to say and who are open to your secrets. But don't feel like you have to sort of settle yourself into another strict way of doing things, because as it says, you are enough. You can belong, certainly, but you are enough. It's a sort of a cry for sovereignty and freedom. What does your higher self want to say? I'm just going to pull 3 cards for what your higher self wants to say in response to the requests of your inner child here. The Moon, the Emperor reversed, the 7 of Pentacles reversed. I think your higher self agrees with your inner child. But I think your higher self is saying there's a little bit of a caution here. And it's not to say not to do it, but it's just to be prepared. And I think it's in a sense, the higher self's more mature way of expressing what your inner child is saying, which is go for the journey for where your heart is and the people that you enjoy being with and the other broken, orphaned, rejected people, or whatever it is that you feel that made you not belong, so that you draw that in and kind of just enjoy the journey, because then you'll work out who you ultimately want to be with. What your higher self is saying is that the world is a complex place, Pole 1, and it's saying that there is much yet to learn. You are very spiritually and psychically attuned and very, very talented. You are enough. But there are things that you don't know. This is really why your inner child's operating almost on an adventurous level, but also on a cautious level. And your inner adult, your higher self, is saying yes, because there is much to learn. Leaving one, very strong relationship that was too controlling, very strong family, culture, political group, social cause, whatever it is, and going out to explore the rest, there is much to learn. And there are many different ways for power to be not used in the right way, or for people to be controlling. And sometimes it's emotional. So your higher self is saying, do not commit to anything long term until you know that this same dynamic isn't happening. I actually think what this is overall saying, what your inner child is saying, Pole 1, and what your higher self is agreeing with in a sort of, like, as I say, a more mature way, is that you are very deep and you have the real capacity to see what's really going on, to see the secrets. This makes you both a prize and also a threat to people in power, to hegemonies, to social groups that are very strong. So you have to be very aware of that. You have to know that you're enough. You will find your people. Both your inner child and your higher self are saying that, but you have to take it slowly. Because it's just in leaving, you could wake the beast up if you were too noisy and fast about it. Equally, when you're now exploring the new, you could find a new version of it, because there's something about you, as I say, because I think you are valuable to people, like even if it's just that they kind of psychically feel it themselves. And therefore, they do want to control. So this is making sure that you keep the door open and you keep yourself flexible, and know that if it came to it, and you found yourself in a similar situation, you are enough and you can move forward on your own. That way, any real long-term relationships that you make, they will be very authentic and they will be true to you, and you will be able to speak your truth within it, and you won't feel so much like a secret keeper. But do remember, if you're coming up as the child of the Hermit and the Magician, very, very powerful psychically, and your higher self is also saying that with the Moon. You're very, very psychically attuned. So use that radar. And don't commit until your radar, to your gut instinct tells you that you should. So that's an interesting message. It is comforting to know that you are going to be able to liberate yourself, but it's also got a little bit of a warning in there, so that you don't go out of the frying pan and into the fire, I guess. So I want to get you some supports for your inner child. So firstly, a couple of archangel energies for you. So we have Zadkiel, forgiveness. Okay, I'm actually going to put this over here. I think that you're going to find, and I think you already know actually, for most of you already know, that quite a few of the things that might be restrictive around relationships or whatever that you're in have some form of history of their own. So if you are in a very controlling relationship, you may know, for instance, that the person concerned came from something like that and learnt it. There's something almost generational about this. Sometimes it might be cultural, and so forth. So I think Zadkiel here is here so that you don't, this helps you not kind of storm out, and it helps you do it subtly, because if you have an understanding, if the secrets go to that depth that particularly the hermit side of this could pick up, then you can forgive, and that then with Jupiter allows you to expand. So I think this is an energy, and I think it also might be Zadkiel drawing forgiveness to you from those that you leave, if they are people who are close to you. So there's a sort of energy of release that Zadkiel is trying to bring into being for you. And we have Zadkiel again. So Zadkiel's definitely strong for you as an archangel. It doesn't surprise me, actually, that a powerful archangel is going to be so strong within, as I say, the child of the hermit and the magician. And this is benevolence. So I think it's saying both that there is forgiveness from the old and then there is benevolence with the new that you bring in. And Zadkiel will be guiding you to make sure that you don't end up in this again, that you can always know how to move on and eventually find your people. And this is the promise of it, that you are going to find your people. So the balance of forgiveness and benevolence allows you to expand into what you want to be and the group that you want to be with, or the love that you want to be, whatever this is talking about, so that you can do that without, as I say, kind of replicating the situation again. We also want to get you a unicorn, an enchanted unicorn message to help your inner child. Invention, brilliant new ideas. Yeah, you are very, very smart. Your secrets, some of your secrets, because of course we've got the hermit, and I've been doing a lot, I think, about the hermit really here in terms of the spiritual knowledge and spiritual ability. But the magician is, if nothing else, inventive, is new ideas and so forth. So for some of you, this break from a person or a group is because you have new ideas that are blessed, because it's an ace, that are meant to come into the world. And so again, for some of you, it may well be, say you were breaking from a particular workplace or a particular career or creative contract or something to bring in something new. I think there's also an energy that ultimately that will be seen to be the right thing that you did. So there is definitely a sense the unicorn here is bringing in the ideas you need, and that helps you sort of draw in the people that are right for you. But it could also, and I think this is why your higher self is just doing the caution, draw in others who want to exploit. There is something, I think, about you in the way that you think and the way that you invent and the way that you see things that sometimes makes you very valuable, and therefore some may want to exploit it. So I think that, this is why your higher self is saying don't commit to anything with your new ideas till you're sure. I also want to get you a couple of power animals to go along with your inner child on this journey, pile 1. Snow leopard, the watcher. Yeah, watch, wait, find your time, actually. I feel even just looking at that snow leopard, they're very, very, very much focused, very much knowing, looking for the right time to move. Using this sort of brilliance that you have to determine the best time to move, and watching and waiting and waiting before you make other commitments. I think that the snow leopard is going to help you with that. And dog, companionship. You are going to have friends. You are going to have people. It's saying it over and over. Like, this is not, even though it is almost future-proofing you in a way by setting you up that if it came to it, you could do this all on your own, you're not actually going to be required to do that. But you have to be prepared to let go all of the kind of expectations of people to draw in the right people. But you will draw in the right people. You just need to watch and wait and have the right timing. Everything else will look after itself. With an Ace of Swords and an Ace of Cups, there's a double blessing in this for you. Your inner child wants to know this is actually a very positive message. So let's get a couple of other aspects from a couple of other decks that might be helpful for you from your inner child. Poison, person or situation toxic for you. So there is something. Your inner child is definitely saying there's something that you know, a secret that you know, a truth that you know, and it is toxic. This is why you are going to need to do this, but it's also why you have to watch and be careful and wait for the right time. So you're not wrong. If you're starting to feel that you would be being disloyal, you actually do need to move on, and then you can move some of that sort of beautiful energy that you have into sort of forgiveness and benevolence. But you do need to understand there's something about the situation that you're in at the moment that makes you feel not good enough, that makes you feel you don't belong, and or puts too much of a price on belonging. Autumn, period of maturity or beginning of decline. Okay, so I think this is the maturity coming in. Autumn may be a time of year for you where a significant change occurs, or it could just be saying that this is you understanding that things have their season, and you may well have belonged for a while, but you no longer belong. Or it could be that this is moving out of home, having grown up, and you now have to find your own way and your own destiny. But it would be toxic, even if it's a good family environment, it would be toxic to stay there too long, because it's time to move into your maturity. And recognize despair as an opportunity. So I think for most of you, there's something, this is coming up over and over. This is within it, you will find the gift of awakening. Something is not going to be able to last in the form that it is. A love relationship, you being at home, even if it's just that you need to effectively mature, grow up and go out and find your own life, even if it's happy where you are. There is something toxic or waning in decline, waning in value for you where you are at the moment, and you need to move into something new, and you need to know in the transition point that you are enough. So there's something, but there is something. I think your inner child knows there's a pain and there's a hurt, and this is probably why there needs to be some forgiveness. But you will find your people. Your inner child wants you to know that this is to awaken you to all that you have, and you have a lot of power and a lot of knowledge that you can use. And as I say, great new ideas. In fact, so much that's why your higher self is saying, be careful of who you next connect with, so that you have the right people and not people who would potentially want to exploit that brilliance that you have. Okay, let's get some stars and numerology to guide your inner child. Pile 1. Gemini. So there's something about communication with this. Actually, it makes me think of all the birds, that sort of feels like communication. It feels like drawing people in. It may be that in discussion and communication and sharing of ideas that all of this can start to come into being. It could also be that for a time you need to wear a mask. Gemini, is kind of the twins, the sign of the mask. You may need to do that until you're ready to sort of move towards what you want. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is a transition that needs to occur, pile 1. Then we have Pluto, major changes. By the end of this, you will have transformed yourself and your life very significantly. And that Plutonian, it has to happen. It's a very tower-like energy around this. And Saturn, breaking through the old. You're definitely, if you've come to the right reading, as I said from the beginning, you've known whether this was right for you or not. You are breaking through and massively transforming yourself and breaking old structures to find the structures that are going to suit you in the end. And you're brilliant, so you can do it. And you do have the secrets. You do understand almost like the structure of the universe, the Saturnian side of things. You get it, you understand it, but you also have the capacity, like the hermit, to sort of go out and do the spiritual transformation. So you can do it. You are enough, as your inner child says. But you have to be aware that being like that has its own risks. So make sure that you are following your path and letting the right people come to you, and you can determine that over time, rather than almost holding yourself out for the approval of others, which could then make them potentially try and entrap you in some other way. So to finish off, I just want to get you a couple of blessings from the dragon butterflies, because I felt that would be a nice enchanted way to finish off the messages from your inner child. So we have love. Certainly, if this is around a love relationship, then it will bring in something new. We had the Ace of Cups, the Ace of Swords, the new idea, the new brilliance brings in the new love. So if you're seeking love, whether it be romantic love or the love of friends, it will come. It is going to come. You are going to belong where you need to belong, but there's just a transition for you at this point, pile 1. And we have Faith, yeah, have faith in yourself. There could be a double message to this too. If any of this is around spiritual stuff and you're moving from one community to another, you have to find the thing that you would truly have faith in, not the thing that you have inherited with Saturn from family or culture. It's what could you truly say you have faith with, knowing that you're the combination of the hermit and the magician. You have a very powerful spiritual soul. So your faith is powerful here. It can also, if you have that faith, bring in love. But some of this translation, this transition that your inner child's talking about may be literally about shifting faiths in some way. So I hope that that was comforting and empowering. I think there's some beautiful changes coming in for you. And I think that your inner child, wants you to understand how special you are. And your inner higher self wants you to protect that as well, to make sure that you draw in the right people, you belong with the right people, and that you're able to truly manifest your inventive brilliance, Pile 1. I hope that that resonates and you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, Pile 2, to your reading. So you've come to the reading with Be Decisive. We also have transformation. So it's obviously making the choices and so forth and being decisive about what you need to do that. And then we have transformative energy. And then to help with the theme and talking through these cards at the beginning is to help you work out whether this is your inner child talking to you if you've come to the right reading. You are being portrayed as the golden child. This is a deck that is, it's quite a small deck, and it's based on children of the various major arcana cards. So the golden child is the child of judgment and temperance. I just almost had a mental blank there for a second, but your judgment and temperance. And the interesting thing is that this child's journey within the extended tarot is all about transformation. And then we also got transformation here. So that is the sort of sense of bringing the call to what you're meant to do, which is probably this be decisive energy with judgment, with temperance, the balance to allow the transformation to occur. And there's almost a double message here because of that for you, because this card talks about sometimes when we go through transformation, we make it all too serious, and sometimes we just need to enjoy it, and see the beauty in the sort of exploration of it, which is certainly part of the energy of this card. But equally, we do have to be decisive, which is almost the voice of judgment, the call, answering the call and doing things quickly enough to take opportunities and take advantage of the change. The other thing that I think when I look at this is the golden child. For some of you, you may resonate to that as a role that you could have had in your family. And there are certain things that are good about being the golden child in that there is a lot of support for what you do, but equally it can in fact cause an issue around being decisive, because some people who have the golden child role, things come so easy in their home life, they can do no wrong sort of thing, that it makes it hard then to understand the world outside when you're outside of the sort of incredible warm inner glow of that. Equally, for some with the golden child dynamic, there's an enormous undertow of that if there are other dynamics within the family that are, say, narcissistic. So I think this is a dual message, but I do think that it is saying that the balance for your inner child wants to talk about you having fun with transforming and becoming who you are and really coming into your golden light, your sun, your life path, and you're finding your calling, but doing it in a balanced way that you don't take too much time and not too little time either. Now, something I forgot to do in pile 1, unfortunately, but I'm going to remember to do it here, is that each of these have an affirmation on the side. So the Be Decisive says, I am the leader of my life. And the transformation says, I am becoming all I wish to be. So I think that's a sort of secondary message. The golden child can be the leader of your own life. And I feel that picks up that sense of the sun as well, the sense of your life path. So I think that if you've come to the right reading, your inner child wants to talk to you about getting the balance of joy and kind of timing to become what you are destined, what you have, all the potential that you have to do. And to do both those things, to have the fun and the transformation, but also to get the timing right and be decisive and make the decisions when you need to, which is very much a judgment energy. I think it's helpful to understand what you need to release and let go of and what you need to embrace. And that's what we're going to ask the tarot. You're going to ask your inner child via the tarot. Firstly, what does your inner child think that so that you can get this balance right and get the timing right around the transformation and to really, really become all that you could be, What do you need to release, let go of, or heal at the moment? Three of Pentacles, the Magician reversed, Eight of Swords reversed, Ten of Wands reversed, Three of Wands reversed. Okay, I would say that for most of you, you need to let go of some people that you've maybe started to like work with or connect with in some way. This doesn't feel like a relationship. This feels more like transformation that might be in a career or a creative project or whatever. But the fact that we've got 2 threes here, Three of Wands reversed, suggesting that you are maybe with the Three of Pentacles here, you've got a foundation or a starting or a collaboration with people, but it's not really, you're not on the same path. You're not on the same path. And while this is saying with the transformation, the Golden Child is saying you have a bit of fun, it's kind of what might be the thing that blocks you from being decisive when you need to be. So I think that your inner child is firstly saying that some of the people that you're connecting with, doesn't mean they're bad people, but they're not on the same path as you. And you may in fact need to outstrip them as the Golden Child. So you need to let go of the need for others in this. This is something that is really about you. There's also a possibility that some of the people around you are not being honest with you or are not as talented as you and are therefore being manipulative about it. I do think your inner child is trying to say that you are meant to really shine. You are meant to be the Golden Child. There's a calling that you're meant to follow and a transformation within yourself and within others. But I think this is saying that you're being slowed down by those who are not as talented or not on the same path as you. It's making it all really heavy. You need to liberate yourself from that. Like a classic reading of this would be sort of someone who's sort of in some sort of university study group, and in actual fact, it's your brains, your idea, and your work that's getting everything done. So you may not instantly be able to move outside of that if it's required within the course that you do something collaboratively. But I think your inner child wants you to know that a reliance on other people puts you at risk of people not being honest with you and kind of like putting the burden on you, that it stops your transformation and it gets in the way of you being able to make the decisions you need to make when you need to make them. So I think this is, your inner child is saying, heal and let go of the need to be in a group. You are meant to shine. There is something you're meant to do that's more individual, or at the very least you're the leader of. So let's ask, therefore, what your inner child feels that you need to embrace or empower. Four of Swords, the Hierophant, the Four of Pentacles reversed, Ten of Swords, Three of Cups reversed. It's the same message, Pile 2. It's saying you need to embrace that which is you on your own. For some of you, as I say, if some of you did grow up in the dynamic like the Golden Child, as I say, there's some things that are wonderful about that, but it can also be that you become reliant on the approbation of others to feel good about yourself because it's been sort of something that you were used to getting in the home. And like the rest of the world out there isn't always as agreeable to that as your family might have been, for instance. Or it could be another way that the Golden Child can work out is that nothing is ever quite good enough because you have to be the best. Either way, it puts you into a really strong dynamic of taking other people's opinions rather than your own. And this is to say you have the capacity to make the good judgments, the wise judgments and the transformation and to make the decisions. But again, it's like you need to embrace time on your own. You need to embrace leaving behind the friends. Even if it was fun, there's sort of something that's not quite working with this. It doesn't mean you have to be friendless, but for you to step into your transformation and your potential, it has to be done on your own. And there's something you've done some work on that really, it's not going to last. You know, you have to almost start again on something. Like let something end that is just not coming together. For many of you, it's around some sort of structure that's formal. So I feel like a lot of this feels like study or a spiritual group that is not the right spiritual group for you. Or you're in some sort of tradition or workplace, for instance. And again, it's like to continue on with that and not transform, not to move to somewhere else. And I mean, obviously, if it's a workplace or something like that, or a study, you have to finish your qualifications. You have to have another job to go to, all of those things. But your inner child is saying, don't keep throwing good energy after bad. Like there's a retreat to work out what you want and to find out your traditions really that you want to go and develop into rather than other people. So embracing that sense of finding your own spiritual guidance and the capacity to let go of something, to recognize when something's not working, and to be happy to release that rather than holding on with grim determination, getting back within yourself. So what does your higher self, therefore, want to say? We're just going to pull 3 cards for what your higher self wants to say to your inner child, having heard what the inner child has to say, which is effectively, you've got to get back to first principles and follow your destiny rather than what everybody else thinks you should do. That's pretty much, like as an inner child would probably say, you've got to decide what you want to do in the sand pit. It's not what everybody else wants to do. That's that kind of feeling. What does your higher self want to say to your inner child? Ace of Swords, yeah, the new ideas. The 4 of Cups reversed. The 2 of Cups reversed. Your higher self wants to say, yes, new ideas are coming through. This is what you need to follow. You need to do something new. It needs to be yours, and you need to sort of know when that opportunity is there. But it's the beginning of the journey, and this is where this balance is, because be decisive to take it on and to believe in yourself to do it, to be the leader of your own life, as that said. But equally, there's a journey you're starting now. It'll take time, so allow yourself to have some fun with it, because you need to find that fun, because your higher self is saying this is going to stir the pot a bit with friends or lovers potentially, or people that you're close to. This is a real cry of independence we're looking at here. But nevertheless, it is your higher self is agreeing with your inner child that there is something really wonderful that you can bring forward doing this. But it's your idea. It's a very singular thing. And your transformation is to come into your true golden sort of heritage, effectively. So that's a sort of challenging sort of message from your inner child, though I think it is also encouraging in as much as that you are a golden child. You are somebody who can really do this, but there are costs associated with that. So let's get you a spirit team that can support you. So firstly, a couple of archangel energies for you. Zavkiel, motivation. Yeah, your own motivation. Zavkiel is all about endings and beginnings, and is also about sort of things that are meant to stand the test of time with Saturn. So there is an ending before you can have a beginning, and I think this is what this is saying. For before the butterfly can become the butterfly, it has to go into the cocoon and be no longer the caterpillar. Before the chicken can be hatched, it has to be in the egg, all of that kind of thing. There is a process. And this is, I think Zavkiel here is to give you the motivation to do that, because you're meant to find your golden future. If you were in the golden child role, it's right in many ways. There is something very golden about you, but you have to find it within yourself and know it within yourself rather than other people telling you. And Raphael, so some healing around this, bringing balance in. And the sun, the balance of what you are as opposed to what other people would applaud you for. You will be successful with this, pile 2. It's just that you have to be prepared to know it within yourself that you are successful, rather than look for the validation of others, I would say. And that, because the transformation, whatever it is significant and will probably bring in different people into your life and different ideas and all of that kind of thing. So you have to be true to yourself. It has to be your true transformation. So also to help, we want to get you an enchanted unicorn and what they would say to your inner child, or how they would support your inner child. Tubular bells, patience and trust. Okay, so this is all about you, I think. It will take patience. It can't really be rushed. You've got to make the decisions at the right time, and trust when you do it. If it's coming from your soul, it's the right decision, because as I say, you have very strong judgment, being manifest as the child of judgment and temperance, and you'll bring it into balance. But this is a process. It's just starting. This transformation will take time, and you need to have that patience and trust. So the enchanted unicorn is there to bring you that. And tubular bells makes me think music and things like that might help you. That might be how the unicorn energy communicates with you. Let's also get you some divine power animal supports as well, pile 2. The lynx, secrets. Okay. All right. So you may find that you have to keep secrets. You may have to hide some of it. This might be why we have the 4 of Swords. You may not be able to obviously do this. So I'm sorry, pile 2, that was just a delivery arriving. So if I sound a little bit puffed, it's because I ran up and down the stairs. So as I say, there could be some secrets. You may have to, you may have to keep this a bit on the down low, particularly if it is around moving a workplace or a new project or something like that. So if you are needing to keep some secrets while you go through your transformation, then Lynx is here to help you with that. And sea turtle, stability. You will be able to find the stability in the end. So trust in that. This is why the patience and trust, and maybe patience to know and wait for who to talk to and who to connect with about it and so forth. But the stability is there, the balance is there. This will actually come out as something much better for you. And as I say, because you are meant to have a golden future, but I think you just need to be able to trust that these energies will take you through the right timing. Because I think there is a thing about timing with this that your inner child wants you to be aware of. Okay, so let's just get a couple of other sort of decks for some wild card energy for what else your inner child might want to say to you about this. So firstly, dream, communicate with subconscious, imagine possible futures. Yeah, get into, this is like, that makes me think of the transformative process, like being in the egg or being in the cocoon. There's a lot that will come through, you know, it is going to take time, but allow your sort of dream energy to bring this about, and allow yourself to dream, because you have the capacity, as I say, as a child of judgment and temperance, to truly, decisively and wisely bring in a very balanced, beautiful outcome for yourself. What is your dream? I think your inner child wants you to remember what your dream is and believe in it. There might have been something that made you feel it couldn't come true, but this is the sort of energy that it could. It'll take time, Potu, but it could. And message, pay attention, a message is on the way. So maybe through your dreams, pay attention to your dreams for that. There may also be a message literally coming to you via, you know, somebody who's going to be important to this, you know, like watch even over the next few days, you know, maybe there's going to be an email coming in or a letter in your letterbox. Not that that happens all that often anymore now that we're so electronic, but there could be something like that, or it could be a message that comes through a reading like this. So pay attention for that, because obviously your inner child is trying to send you information in one form or another. Let's see also what the Soul Helper Oracle has to say. Have the courage to be free. Know the freedom begins where desire ends. So it's kind of like, don't desire to have all this approbation and validation of others. I think this is the thing for you. It's like, it's not that you don't deserve it, but that it makes you, it puts you in a sense under their power. I remember reading a very wise thing once in a novel, and effectively it was talking, in the novel it was talking about this choir and how there was this really strict choir mistress, and you know, she would go along and she would listen to the tone, and every once in a while she would say to someone, beautiful tone or something like that. And what the author was saying was that what was difficult with that, like it was almost frightening to have that happen, because having had the approbation of someone who was held in such esteem by the group, the person then felt they always had to be at least that good the next time and so forth. So in a weird way, when we take on the approbation of others, we give them power to judge us. And remember, you've got judgment there. You're meant to be able to judge yourself. So if you can let go of the need of the approbation of others, I think, the validation of others, of being the golden child, you become the golden human being. You become the golden you, and you go through the full transformation. So being free of that allows you to become who you truly could be, pile 2. So let's get you some stars or numerology along the way as well. T-square. Yeah, there's going to be some challenges around this. You know, there's challenging energy to do it, because it is hard. If you are, you know, as I say, if you resonate with the golden child energy, you know, it's hard to kind of go into something where it's more you and it's your own guidance factor. However, the T-square also gives a certain energy to bring something into being. It's any of the more difficult aspects in astrology are actually blessings in many ways. Then we have square. Yeah. Like there's that kind of maxim that those that God loves, he tests, that kind of concept as well too here. We'll have a look at the planets around it. And second house, Yeah, this is probably in career, how you make money, and aligning it more with your values and your true vision. Now, just to save time rather than dealing out to get 5 different planets, I'm going to roll an astro dice for that. So we're looking now at these first 2 planets that are opposing each other, and the planet that's kind of causing the tension and or the breaking of the tension with the T-square. So the first of the 2 is Mercury, so how you communicate. The second is Mars, communicate in action, how you take communication and you make it action. And the planet or energy that's working on that is the Moon, your psychic energy, your psychic ability, your creativity, and also your receptivity. So that's interesting. I think that this is the Moon. This may be the Achilles heel that your inner child wants you to be aware of, which is that the emotional effect of you communicating what you truly want, that's where you're going to have the potential tension. But if you understand that that's you becoming who you're meant to be, then you can make that emotion work for you and work well. But if you let the emotion of feeling like suddenly somebody doesn't approve get to you, it may lessen that communication and the drive of the communication. So let's have a look at the square energy. So this is 2 planets that are kind of facing off against each other in the sense of like they're almost egging each other on in a square. So let's see what we get. We have the Moon again. So again, your emotions and the South Node, I think it is. No, sorry, the North Node. For some reason, I always get these mixed up when I'm using astro dice. I don't know why, but anyway. So the South Node, things that you're moving away from. Okay, your emotions and what you're moving away from. This is definitely saying that it's an emotional impact you've got to manage around moving away from the past and moving into what you're meant to be, who you're meant to be. The more that you let your emotions rule that, the more you're held in the past in what it was to be the golden child as opposed to what it is to be the golden you, as I say. So last but not least, we're going to draw you a couple of enchanted dragonflies, or dragon butterflies they are actually. So I thought they were a nice way to get sort of some blessings and outcomes that would suit the inner child's thing for you as well. So let's see what we get. Happiness. Okay, happiness is coming. You will be happy in the end of this. And I feel like it's very interesting, very similar golden colours. You can only be happy in the end if you're true to yourself. That any sort of like fitting yourself into other people's expectations is a Pyrrhic victory at best. You know, your true happiness comes in letting your golden self shine, pile 2. And tranquility. Yeah. And then you know you've gone through it. You've used your judgment. You've used your balance. You've brought things into being. You are happy with where you're heading. Your values and how you are in the world are aligning. You've kind of quieted the emotional energy and emotional stresses of trying to fit into something that other people would applaud. You will find that what you do is well received, I think, and you will find that you'll have approbation again and all of those things. But having gone through this transformation, that will be just the icing on the cake. You won't need it because you will know within yourself that you are happy, you are true to yourself, you're tranquil, you know that you have become the you that you were always meant to be. So I think that is a very lovely and encouraging message for you, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So along with seasons of change, that was probably what brought you to the reading in one form or another, we've also got inner voice. So this is very much about change, transformation, and really being true to yourself. And you have as a kind of overarching theme or an energy for your inner child overall the truth teller. Now this card comes from a deck called the Extended Tarot, which is an extended part of the Painted Tarot. And what it is, it's an ingenious idea of the children of the major arcana. So the truth teller is the child of the High Priestess and the Tower. So the Tower, of course, being all about change. The High Priestess, all about your inner voice. It's a perfect marriage for these particular energies. And the truth teller talks about being true to yourself, true to your inner voice, true to your truth, and saying that, yes, sometimes, you know, the act of telling the truth is a revolutionary and evolutionary act. And so it can bring about tower-like moments. You can lose friends or connections if they aren't valid, but the true friends, the true connections will be with you. And the truth will, as they say, set you free. So This is a very powerful spiritual energy with a very powerful transformative energy. But this is saying to me, because these are the cards that came with it, that your inner child is very much in harmony with this and very comfortable with the concept of change, even if it is, as I say, evolutionary or revolutionary on occasion. I suspect that your inner child feels that there is a change coming now where you will need to tell a truth or follow the prompting of your inner voice, your inner knowledge, in a way that maybe takes you away from one paradigm and moves into another, one group of people into another. It's actually been a bit of a theme in all these readings about this, so I think we may be in a very transformative time and a transformative year, so that's interesting. But this is very much saying that if you, more than most people with the Tower, are able to deal with that. You would be one of the people who would not shrink away when you see the Tower come up. You would see, great, time for change, time for revolution, time for things to shift, time for the old to be gone. And you will connect in with the High Priestess to your inner voice. Now, each of these cards also have affirmations on their back. So for seasons of change, we have, I flow into change with ease and grace. Yes, you can deal with Tower moments in a way that is very, very positive. And inner voice, I connect with my inner self and stay true to me. That's the High Priestess. Like, your inner child is so connected to its strong origins in a way. You are a creature of change, and you are a creature of truth, and you're a creature of very deep mystery as well. And as such, you can see from a higher perspective, a longer range perspective than a lot of other people. The interesting thing, and we'll see with the tarot, is whether this is something that is going to be truly within and internal, or whether it's sort of that you are going to be some form of change agent that leads others because you've seen the mysteries and understood things in an almost prophetic way. Maybe a bit of both. We'll see what the tarot has to say. So we're going to ask the tarot what your inner child wants you to release and heal, what your inner child wants you to embrace and empower, and also what your higher self wants to say to your inner child. But firstly, let's start with what your inner child says to take advantage of listening to your inner voice and taking that transformative energy. What is it now time to release or heal? Pile 3. Death. 9 of Swords reversed. 3 of Swords. The Tower reversed. That's interesting. It's reversed. King of Cups. Okay. So you're a very, very deep person, I have to say. I do think that this will be both a profound internal change, but I think it's going to have an external application. I think you're a healer. I think this is what this energy is saying. I think you're a healer. You can take people through radical change and through pain. You have gone through some form of emotional or psychological pain to get here. It's not been easily won. And that kind of makes sense. The High Priestess has a knowledge that comes out of great learning and great ritual. And the Tower, of course, is a tumultuous way to bring in change. It's not as gentle as just leaves falling at autumn, as this card might indicate. It is often much more challenging. You have been through that, but it is time to release the pain of that. Like, if you've been through, I think most of you have come to the right reading, you've been through the Tower moment and you've gone through the transition. You've done it. This is why I think, in fact, this is now about taking that healing out to others who are resistant. So any last resistance to change or holding on to the past pain, your inner child is asking you to let go of, because the inner child is reminding you are more capable of dealing with this than most, and you have a healing mission. So you can't fully come into that unless you release any of the last vestiges of resistance to change. You have to become this sort of like icon for it. So I feel that this is almost like the beginning of what to embrace, but you can't get to there until you've fully understood how strong you are and how you've gone through this. You've come out of it. So it's letting go of whatever you need to let go of so that you can actually move into what you're supposed to do with it. So given that, let's ask the tarot what you're supposed to embrace and empower. Pile 3. 7 of Swords reversed. 5 of Swords. 7 of Wands. Wow. Page of Swords. Knight of Swords reversed. Okay. You're meant to take a message out. So this is what I was wondering with this. Was it all just profoundly internal? But I think you've already done the profoundly internal. This is now. You're meant to embrace. You're a messenger. You're a teacher. You're an influencer. Something like that. You are meant to embrace all the getting real moments that you've had. You've had a lot of getting real moments. A lot of, could have been ego, death, dark night of the soul, as they say. It could have been anything, but you embrace what you've really understood about yourself. And there have been some costs, there's been some things that you battled, or maybe that you would have wanted to keep that you can't keep and you have to move on from. So embrace the fact that this is all about you getting very clear and understanding your strength, because you're now meant to level up. This is going to go out in the world in some way. You're meant to be out in the competitive world and taking your message, and it's a very, very strong message. The other thing that however, that your inner child is saying is that is a powerful message and you take it out, but you do have to remember in doing that not everybody else is as fast as you. And you are meant to remember in your message here and with your empathy, this is why these four are together, that there were moments in your change you didn't want the change to occur. So you're going to encounter that as you take the message out. So having empathy for that and just going a little bit slower for other people than maybe you would prefer to do, you can help them go through the same thing. You are a change agent. This is what your inner child wants you to know. You are born to do this, pole 3. And there's been something you've gone through and it hasn't been easy, but now you can actually do something with this. But just remembering there were times you wanted to resist the change too will make it easier for you to work out how to calibrate your message to others. Okay, so let's see what your higher self wants to say to your inner child about this message. Just going to get 3 cards for that. Oops. And this one wanted to drop out, so we'll take it. The 7 of Cups. The 3 of Cups. And the 2 of Cups. Wow, okay. Your higher self wants to say, agrees with the inner child that there is something here. You have a message. You have a major message and a major vocational push, I think, really, or cause. But you're also allowed to enjoy yourself. Your higher self says, you know what, there's cause to celebrate. Don't. It's like, remember all of this because you're going to help other people go through it, but you could celebrate. You've got through this. You actually weathered the storm and you're stronger for it, and you're more connected to your inner voice. And you've got so many options now, emotionally, potentially romantically, all those things as a result of this change. So your higher self says, yes, I agree, inner child. This is sort of something really core. Like, your inner child's very, very strong and very, very transformative. And that's almost like your higher self on a different level. But your higher self is also saying you're allowed to enjoy yourself. So also listen to the inner voice when it says, take a break, enjoy your life, all that kind of thing, bring love in, celebrate. You've got a big message. And I think your higher self is also saying that part of the way you can help people as well is to make it aspirational and enjoyable. Because if you're having to go a little bit slower on the idea, and not most people can deal with the level of like tumultuousness that you can, also putting a little bit of honey into the message won't go astray, I think, is what pile 3 is saying. But for some of you, I think it's going to bring in love. I think your higher self is saying you're now prepared to bring in the right love as well, and really good friends. So celebrate the options that are opening up to you. Okay, so let's get you some spirit team help for your inner child, starting with a couple of archangels. Raphael, self-esteem. Yeah, you should have self-esteem. Like, you are really strong, pile 3. And you're going to be, but I do think it's been difficult. There might have been times, as I say, you resisted and you didn't think you were strong enough, but you were strong enough and deep enough to do it. Raphael is getting your self-esteem in alignment with your life path, with the sun there. And it's interesting that it says God has healed up on his sort of, I guess that's some sort of crown in a way. So this is a healing has gone on, and you are meant to be a healer. That's why I said you are a healer. So Raphael is with you because of that. And Zadkiel, enlightenment. Yeah, and here to enlighten people, it's ideas. You're a healer. It's through enlightening, it's through awakening. And I feel like for some of you, it's about diversity. It's about what's different and acceptance of what is different, with all the sort of rainbow colours there. So there's something about that in terms of what your inner voice is saying and helping others with. We also want to get an enchanted unicorn to see what it would say to your inner child, or how it would support and protect your inner child. Dragonfly, everything is going to be fine. Yeah. I'd say Dragonfly was with you through it, saying everything is going to be fine. And I think we'll be with you as well when you are helping other people. It's like the tower is going to operate well. There is a deep wisdom underneath it with the High Priestess, and the inner voice will always direct you well and help you to direct other people well. So I think that's beautiful. And then we're going to get you a couple of power animals as well for your spirit team around your inner child's message. Jackal, truth. Yeah, it is about truth. Tower moments are moments of truth. Change and transformation are moments of truth. Sometimes something has to end to bring the new in, and that is a truth. And your inner voice is also a connection to your truth. So that's a very powerful energy to keep you inspired in the right way. And Snow Leopard, that's interesting. It came up for one of the others as well, the Watcher. I feel for you, though, it's operating on a different level. I felt in that one it was kind of about the focus that they needed. I think this is just to let you know that your work is very important and it is being watched over by powerful energies to make sure that the focus is there and that you have the strength that you need. Everything is going to be fine. You are a healer and you will be healed. You will enlighten. And there's something important in what you're doing. It doesn't have to be on the world stage, so for some of you it could be, but it's very important and it's very healing for other people. Okay, let's see with another couple of decks some wildcard energy that your inner child might also want to bring into the mix for you. Gamble. Situation could be a gamble, or you should gamble in this. So there may be some gamble. There always is some gambling, I guess, around major change in the tower. I think this is a positive energy. You know, it's sort of like go with it. You know, and if you have some big ideas about things that you want to do and you feel like, am I going to be able to do it? I think you will be able to do it. You've got the very strong support team to bring the truth and the energy and power to it. And transformation again. Okay, yeah. This is all about transformation. Change in appearance or character, usually for the better. Well, it will be for the better. You are meant to transform. This is all within that tower moment, and you're meant to listen to your inner voice and take the gamble. So if some of you are not quite through the tower moment yet and you've been just like almost worried about that last bit, take the gamble, go with the transformation. All will be okay. Because as I say, there's something in what you're doing that will help others eventually. Let's also see what the Soul Helper Oracle would add to the message from the inner child to you. Enter the temple of your truth. It's all about truth, and learn to value it. You have an inner knowing and you have that capacity to deal with this. This is necessary. It's a core thing to you. It's core. And yeah, it's, if you think about it, seasons changing, you know, the cycles of life. There is always new life. There is always new rebirth. There's all those sort of things. There's nothing to fear in this. This is just, as long as you are true to this, there is nothing to fear. Okay. Let's get you some astrology or numerology also to light your path. Virgo. You may have Virgo strongly in your chart. You may be a Virgo, or it may be sort of saying there's something very material about this, something that needs to be planned and structured to bring in the best way. And it's also a sign of health. So I do think it's saying it over and over. There's a natural healing ability in you. Conjunction. So there's a couple of energies astrologically that are working in your favor here, and I think it's also about the joining of the tower energy of change with the High Priestess with wisdom as well, but we will have a look at the planets. And 7, you're stepping up to the next level. Very strong spiritual sort of energy about that too. Just going to use the astro dice just to sort of save a bit of time rather than dealing out the cards, so we'll just sort of see what planets are conjunct in this energy. So we have Pluto, so transformation again in the tower, and Mars, Pluto and Mars, yeah, so huge changes, huge actions, huge power, and you're meant to lead. You're meant to be a change leader, a change agent, definitely. That energy works really well for you, and in fact you get enlivened by you know, and you get energy from the change, from that transformation. Okay, so to finish off, I just want to get you a couple of blessings from the dragon butterflies, because I thought dragon butterflies would be a lovely way to bless the inner child. So let's see what they have as an outcome of their message for you, pile 3. Peace. So at the end of all of it is peace, and that makes sense too, the connection of the Tower and the High Priestess. After the tumult comes the peace, the inner peace, the inner voice, the inner knowing, the sort of calm and knowing that you're in the right place doing the right thing that comes with the High Priestess. And tranquility, peace and tranquility. Okay, so this is a promise from your inner child. It says you've been through major transformation, but you're coming out, if you haven't already done it, you are coming out to peace and tranquility. It is the right thing. You will be able to do it for others. You will bring peace and tranquility for others. And the more that you do this, that you take on the action, you take on the challenge, you take on that role, you take on this calling, you will bring additional peace and tranquility to yourself and to others. It's sort of like it's a kind of pay it forward sort of energy. But you were born for this, pile 3, and this is what your inner child wants you to know. So I hope that that resonates for you. I hope it was helpful and you enjoyed it. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.